Good afternoon. Welcome back to Football Heritage. Today I have with me two guests, Mr. Yaya Kone and Otesai. We are back again. Thank God the international break is over and club football return. And today we'll be looking at a preview to the various game in Europe, particularly the Premier League and La Liga. And let me just go through the Premier League fixtures for this weekend. We have the first game is an early morning kickoff, Central Time, 6:30 between Leicester City and Chelsea. Then we have Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace, Bournemouth versus Brighton, Everton versus Brentford, Fulham versus Wolves, Man City versus Tottenham. On Sunday, we have two games, Southampton versus league leader Liverpool, Ipswich Town versus Manchester United. On Monday, we have one game, Newcastle United versus West Ham. So, gentlemen, today we'll be looking at 5 games in the Premier League. So, I want for us to talk about the first game. The first game is at 6:30 in the morning, Central Time tomorrow. Leicester City versus Chelsea. Chelsea, they have just two injury concern. Lavia is out, and Reece James is also out. For the past 5 years, Reece James, he had about 20 injuries. So I think this guy, if injury continue, I think he needs to resign from football. And Chelsea, their last 5 games in the Premier League this season, they have won one game out of 5. And they won 2-1 against Newcastle in October. So since October, Chelsea, they have not won a Premier League game. They drew 1-1 against Manchester United and 1-1 against Forest and Arsenal. They lost 2-1 to Liverpool in that run. So out of 15 points, Chelsea, they managed to have 6 points out of 15. And now they sit third place with 19 points. And the last 5 meetings between Chelsea and Leicester City have not won a game in their last 5 meetings against Chelsea. The last time Leicester City won a game against Chelsea was May 2021 in the FA Cup final when Yuri Tillman scored a lone goal to give Leicester City the victory. So, gentlemen, looking at both team forms, and you may think that Chelsea is in good form for now, but looking at the last 5 games in the Premier League, they have won only 1 out of 5. 6 points out of 15 points available. So let me come to you, Otis. What's your take on this game tomorrow?
First of all, thank you for this platform again. This is my second time appearing, and it's a unique platform. The weekend is already here, so I really would like to take the time to see how best we can get our own contribution to the platform continuing when it comes to sport. When it comes to the game, Chelsea is, if you watch the previous games that I watched for Chelsea, they have been playing very well, but I think they got few lapses when it comes to clinical. With Leicester City form that I've seen, Leicester City is playing very well too. They are in the same form, but Leicester City too, the finishing touches, the finishing is giving Leicester City a little bit problem too. For the game, I get Chelsea on edge, but Chelsea playing away, I foresee this game going off to a draw. I get Chelsea on edge because they been a bigger side. with the two teams with the way they play. But for this game, because Chelsea is playing away, when you watch Chelsea away form, it's not too good at all. For even last season up to this season, their away form is very, very terrible. They play good, but at the end of the day, they can still concede defeat. So for me, I see a draw between the two people. Though they are equal when it comes to performance, the way I see the both of them, because I watch the both teams playing, it's no different from the way Chelsea play and Leicester City play. But the finishing, that's where I got problem with the both teams. But for me, I see a draw of the game.
Yeah, looking at the game, right? Leicester City, they are won 2 all of the last 5 games in the Premier League. They drew 1, so they won more points in their last 5 games than Chelsea. But looking at it, right, the last 5 meetings between the two teams, Leicester City, they have now won any of their last 5 meetings in the Premier League against Chelsea. So don't you think this record going to play a part in this fixture?
Yeah, record play a part. Record play a great part in the fixture, but with the performance of Chelsea now, I'm not seeing them getting a win from that game. If Chelsea not even careful, they will take a defeat from that game. And not because I'm now a Chelsea fan, but when I look at Chelsea, Leicester City, when you watch Leicester City, they got a last minute of time. The last 15, 20 minutes in the game, Leicester City got a. There are two teams that got a performance that I look at this season that I really look at. It's Leicester City and Brighton. That last 15, 20 minutes in the game, Leicester City and Brighton, I've seen the performance of them. That if you watch Chelsea, the previous game, even the game with Arsenal, it was just out of a sling chance Arsenal couldn't do the last finishing to beat Chelsea the last game. The last game they played, the last game they played before the break. So Leicester City, that last 15, 20 minutes, I don't care how you leading them. They can come up with that performance that you if you're now a good side, definitely you will bow down to them. And for Chelsea that I see, the last 15, 20 minutes in the game, they can be a flaw. All the games that I watch is when they always got problem. The last 15, 20 minutes in the game is when the problem start to fall, most especially in the second half. So for me, Chelsea are getting an edge, but they got to be very careful going over there, not get to get up. They got to be very careful not to get a defeat. But if they play very well, I think they will take a point from there. But to get a win over there, it's going to be a difficult side.
So what's your prediction for the game?
My prediction for the game is draw.
Yeah, what's the score?
Probably it'll be a 2-2 draw.
All right, 2-2.
Yeah.
Let me go to Mr. Conner. The same question. Looking at Chelsea record, their last 5 games in the Premier League, they have won only 1, and that win came against Newcastle at Stamford Bridge when they won 2-1 against Newcastle in October. And since then, all of the 5 games they have played, they drew 1-1 against Manchester United, Forest, and Arsenal, and lost 2-1 to Liverpool. They have 6 points out of 15. So, what's your take on this game tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for bringing me back on your platform for us to discuss preview of the weekend feature. You know, I'm so excited. Every time we got club footballing during the weekend, you know, inter team, so we see a lot of fun. We cheered our team that we supporting, you know, as compared to the international break. The international break kind of boring to me. International break weekend is always boring because like the Nation League they got going on in Europe is not too interesting to a lot of people now because of the injury, the kind of load that gets some player. So the Premier League, the game between Chelsea and Leicester City. We all know every time after international breaks, it's always a difficult task for most of the big teams because most of their starting players always go for international break and they play major role on their various national teams. So the traveling time and the playing time, people get exhausted. You see player with a lot of fatigue. Uh, Chelsea, their last 5 games are not records are not been good. Getting one win out of 5, that's not a good mark. Okay, but looking at Leicester as well, Leicester is they might collect. Let's say they collected more points as compared to Chelsea with the last 5 games. But if you look at Leicester performance, their performances this season is not impressive. You know, I said it during last week podcast. I said it that you need to score goals to win games. You need to score goals to get better result. Leicester, I don't know if Jimmy Vardy is back. The last game I watched, Leicester versus Manchester United, we saw the struggle to score goals, and then the positioning of some of their players. They are holding midfielder Didi, putting him up front. That's a disaster. Nothing much you're gonna get out of him. So my prediction for that game, Chelsea is going to be a tough match, but Chelsea is going to win, and my prediction is 2-1 in favor of Chelsea.
Okay. Looking at Leicester City. So are you trying to say because based on their last 5 meetings, because the last time Leicester City won against Chelsea was in the FA Cup final May 2021. So is your prediction based on their recent meeting? Because the last 5 meetings in the Premier League, Leicester City, they had 0 win.
No, that might be one of it, but Chelsea will really want to make a comeback after playing 5 games and getting one win out of 5 games. They want to come back stronger. They want to get back on the winning way, and they might struggle a little bit due to their players that are involved in the international that went on international duty and getting back to your teams within a shorter period of time. A lot of teams, a lot of players struggle a lot. They struggle from fatigue, injury comes in. I don't know their starting list. I was just looking at it. I saw like for Leicester, I saw uh Duca. I think he's back in Atlanta. He should be starting tomorrow for Leicester. So it depends how the Atlanta going to be like tomorrow. But Chelsea will want to go for everything to get their their win, and the record is there. That's one aspect of it. Chelsea, if you look at the player-to-player description, Chelsea got a better side than Leicester. You look at their standing on the league table. You know, in every aspect, you got to grade Chelsea over Leicester. It's football game. Things happen. We saw bigger teams struggle against a smaller side. Uh, if Leicester come with the same formation, putting Didi uh, behind the striker, playing supporting striking role, they're still going to struggle to Chelsea. I don't know what the coach really looking at with Didi playing that role. Somebody who kind of used to playing the holding midfielder or defensive midfielder role, and he been brilliant in that position. And then you just change the position since they win relegation. That position changed. Uh, Sometimes it will work for you, but when you come against a tough side, you're going to struggle. I saw the game. He had a very good chance of scoring a goal against Manchester United, but he didn't even know what to do when he got in that position because that is not his role. His role is to defend, hold the ball, detect the pace of the game, you know. So I still stand by my word. Chelsea is going to be 2-1 victory over Leicester tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me just come in. For me, my prediction, Chelsea gonna win that game 3-1. Because Chelsea will be too strong for them tomorrow, especially Leicester City. They will not Jimmy Vardy is injured. He is the all-time leading goal scorer for Leicester City. He's vital to the team. And the guy who has been the best player this season, the Ghanaian international, Abdul Fatawu, is also out. So, with that being said, I do believe Chelsea, they're going to beat Leicester City tomorrow 3-1. That's my prediction for the game. So now we move on to the next game. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest at the Emirates. Arsenal coming into this game, they have lost 2 games out of the last 5 games coming into this match. And it's going to be a very difficult game for Arsenal. Just 1 win in their last 5 games in the Premier League. And that 1 win came against Southampton when they won Southampton 3-1 at the Emirates. They lost to Bournemouth 2-0. They lost to Newcastle 1-0, drew 1-1 against Chelsea, and drew 2-2 against Liverpool at the Emirates. So they have 5 points out of 15 points in their last 5 games. And there's a concern when it comes to injury because Trossard is out and Saka is doubtful. Ben White is out. Declan Rice is also doubtful. And Nottingham Forest, they are informed. They lost only 1 out of the last 5 games this season in the Premier League. They won 3. They lost to Newcastle in their last game, and they drew against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So, Otis, you being an Arsenal fan, right? Looking at all the problems this season for Arsenal, particularly up front, wherein they have been dreadful up front, poor finishing from the likes of Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, and Kai Havertz. So looking at your form, your recent form, and looking at Nottingham Forest recent form, so what do you think Arsenal going to do tomorrow to win that game?
This morning we got
Can you repeat? You were muted.
I'm still mute?
No.
Oh, okay. I say I followed the team this morning. I try to see the players, the starting list, and players who were fit for training for the past 2 days, right after the break. The players the only player that is much doubtful now for Ben White, we know he went on a surgery, so they may not be even after the goalkeeper that will play with Chelsea, he was just from his surgery, but he may not be that he's a little bit doubtful. So let's leave Ben out. But apart from Ben out and Ben White and Trossard, all the other players are fit to play the match. So even Saka, who were doubting over Saka, since the break, he been training on the pitch, training with the team, in and out. So everybody will be back. Odegaard, everybody is fit for the game. My only concern here when it comes to the game is, I know it's a difficult game because Nottingham Forest is in form. I think the last time I was discussing it with you, I say that game is one of the hardest games. One of the hardest games that we're meeting again because Nottingham Forest is in form. But I think Arsenal want to use that game as a comeback. So they're going to put in everything they know. They know that game is to hold on to their discussion in the title race. Though people are ruling out of the title race, but that game, because if you are definitely like 12 points behind in the Premier League at this stage, you know it's very difficult to come from behind. But team has come from 8 points behind, so 8 points to 9 points is nothing different. It's just a 1 point difference. So with the form, the people who are ahead, one team that is playing very well right now is Liverpool. Apart from that, the other people who are ahead, they are not informed. So it gave you a little edge to win this game tomorrow and be able to come back on track to see how best you can get your balance games in shape. So I think for the game, Arsenal going to put in everything tomorrow. They need the result from the game. So I think they're going to put in everything tomorrow. Nottingham Forest is going to play. They're going to play, but from the Emery, I think they're going to come up with a defeat tomorrow. Because Arsenal are going to do everything that they can with the form that they're in now. The team, even if you watch the game against Chelsea, the team was okay. They formed. We were so lucky and thankful that players go to injury when they come back. The form can be that good. They have to take games before they get better. But when you look at when Odegaard came back, his first game on the pitch, he was like 80% perfect on the pitch. He holding, he attacking, his sealing, everything was perfect. His ball winning, everything was perfect. He was not even playing like a player that came from injury, because when we watch previous players that came from injury, when they come back, they take almost 3, 4, 5, sometimes then take months before they can even start to get back to the normal form. But we're so lucky that when he came back, he was at his best, almost like he was not even an injury player. So for that, for me, along he is on the pitch and the whole team is in a move, Arsenal will want to use that game for the comeback. So I think for that game, definitely we're going to come up with a score. Probably for me, that score may not be high. Probably for me, my prediction is 3-1 in that game.
Let me ask you this, right? Looking at Saka, because I have watched Saka closely this season, and it is like he is somebody who is playing with injury. Because a lot of the games Arsenal play this season, he always limp off the last 15 to 10 minutes of every game. So, don't you think this is a risk that your coach, Mikel Arteta, is gambling Saka feature? Don't you think?
Yeah. Sometimes, we may look at it like that, but you know that when it comes to the competition, the coaches too can tell you, because they got a medical staff. Every club's got a medical staff. And the player too, he will show a weakness. Because I don't care what the medical staff say, whether you fit or you not fit, or they give their opinion, oh yes, he's okay. When you're saying to yourself that you are not okay, and then you need a rest, I don't think the club going to force you, because that's why the coach want to use you, because you know that you are one of the best players on the pitch. But the medical staff too are there. They will tell you, and you the player too. I think when he not fit, the only thing is I think they will give him a break. But for right now, with the condition like Arsenal, it can happen to any club. Any club where the players is one of the star players is like 75 to 70 or 80% fit, and they find themselves in a position where the season is trying to grab them up. So they want to manage with that player for now until they can get on a footing, then before they try to give him a rest. As long as he can be able to make it, even if he can be able to push for certain minutes, like up to 75, 80 minutes in a game, and with him being fit, putting on performance, because he pressed on the pitch and me a lot too. So what he's not that. I know he's not fit, because all the games that I watch, when he play like 75 minutes, 70, 75 minutes, he start to leap a little bit. So meaning that he not really much fit. But he himself left for himself, because I think when the medical staff come up and say, oh yes, they check everything and they notice that everything is okay. But when you yourself as a player, where you know that you are not okay, you tell the medical staff, look, I'm not okay at this. I don't think they're going to force you. That one, I know you're making the money, but they're not going to force you. And nobody's going to take risks to say, oh yeah, you're not fit. But for me, for what I see, I think he's going to get a rest. But for now, they're going to keep using him until they can get back on the footing before they start to rest certain players. That even Martinelli is not 100% fit. But because
so let me ask you.
Yeah.
You predicting 3-1 victory for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Are you not taking Nottingham Forest, their form, into consideration? And
No,
even
but
if you look at, if you look at the last 5 meetings between the two teams in the Premier League, Arsenal, they have won 3 out of the last 5 meetings with Nottingham Forest, and Forest won 2. That is very close. And if you look at the form of Arsenal at that time and now, there are 2 different forms. Forest, they are in good form than Arsenal right now. So, don't you think it will be a close game than the score line you predicted?
I told you, I previously I told you, I said the game going to be a very close game. It's going to be
No, but you said
very,
3-1. 3-1
yeah,
is not
yeah.
a close game.
When I'm saying close game, in a sense, I'm not close game in the score. In the score, Arsenal, if Forest not even, because let me tell you, even when you watch the past 2 seasons that Arsenal came beyond City, Arsenal went through the same route where they had a lot of injury when they came back. When players came back, you know what it did. The first team the ball away, you gotta fall down to it. And with Arsenal playing home, Arsenal want to use this game as the comeback.
But you predicting a 3-1 score, right?
It's going to be
excuse me.
Yeah.
Otis, excuse me. If you look at Arsenal last 4 games in the Premier League, their last 4 games in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
They only managed to score 3 goals. So on what basis you telling us on this platform that Arsenal going to win 3-1, and looking at Arsenal problem this season, that they have problem off front, they don't score enough goals. The last 4 games in the Premier League, they only score 3 goals. So how are they going to score 3 goals in 1 game against one of the most informed team in the Premier League right now?
The more creative players that one of the more creative players in the Premier League right now is Martin Odegaard. And Odegaard is back. With the form that Odegaard came back with his first game that we saw, not even against a smaller side, with a bigger side at Chelsea. Chelsea got a kind of players that we're talking about in the Premier League. Coming out with that type of form. Definitely, with that kind of creativity that Martin Odegaard get. I'm trusting you. With the way Martin Odegaard can create the game, the way he can organize the game and make the midfield to the attack to work. Trust me. Probably you might have scored that quality, you may think that you say, oh yeah, Arsenal is back on the footing, because if you watch, Calaferi is back too. That's another comeback. If you watch Martin Ali's recent form before that he picked up the future, because couple of before the season started, he was flawed. It was giving him a little bit. But when Tata started to use Calaferi left back, you saw Martin Ali start to produce well. So sometimes too, the player that you pair with can hammer you when it comes to the game, can hammer the attacker too. So with
Ote, thank you very much.
Yeah, with Martin Odegaard, I come in 1 minute. We have Martin Odegaard back. I don't think that Arsenal going to even bow down to that game with even 1 goal or 2 goals. It's going to be more.
Yeah, but the main problem of Arsenal is not just the midfield. The major issue Arsenal having this season is the attack.
But I say, creativity. The man who create the games, who create goals, he is back. You saw him when he came back. You saw what he did. So it's not something that we're supposed to argue about. People doubted himself for the form that he was in when he came back. His first game for him to even play like that. So what I meant being back like that in that kind of form against Nottingham Forest, I don't care what kind of form they're in, most especially the Gorilla, the Embre.
Thank you very much, Otis. Thank you very much. Mr. Cornell, let me come to you. As I said earlier, Arsenal 1 win in the last 5 Premier League game, and that win was against Southampton at the Emirates. They won 3-1, but since then, they lost 2-0 to Bournemouth, 1-0 to Newcastle, drew 1-1 against Chelsea, and they drew 2-2 against Liverpool. So they have 5 points from their last 15. So what's your take on their game tomorrow?
First up, Arsenal current position on the league table with a number of points, and Nottingham Forest current position um, with the number of points they got as well. So both of them got equal points. Arsenal ahead, I think, goal different. That makes that match to be a very tight and a tricky one for the both teams. Having said that, Arsenal been struggling while Nottingham Forest is in their best form. We know this. We know Arsenal problem have been goal scoring, and they haven't been scoring because of the lack of creativity. And one of the creative players has just returned. I watched the first game upon his return. He was very sensational. You know, he's a great addition to Arsenal team. Uh, they want to come back. They want to get on a winning way. They don't want too many gap between the league leader and themselves, because Arsenal is considered to be one of the contender for the Premiership. So I don't think Arsenal will really sit back and allow that gap to go, in between the first and second and third place. They're not too far from Manchester City. I think their concern now is get back to the winning way with this game, because Nottingham Forest is a tough side. We saw them against a couple of bigger teams in the Premier League. Uh, they won Liverpool at Anfield, which are very surprising to a lot of people. But if you look at uh, Nottingham Forest style of playing, it's very difficult to control them. So I believe Arteta, he been watching them. He know what to do, and he should do the right thing by winning this game, because if you allow the game to slip away from you and then Liverpool go and win another game this weekend, you know, you out, because 10, 12, or 13 points gap between you and team that really inform that scoring goals, are winning games, is going to be a difficult time for you to recover. So my prediction for this game, having said that, looking at the two teams form, I give the edge to Arsenal with a narrow win of 3-2. I'm
All
saying
right.
this because one of their creative midfielder is back. Their goal will be tomorrow to create a lot of chances and make sure they score goals.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me just come in. Looking at that game tomorrow, going to be a very difficult game because Forest, they are in good form. They have equal point with Arsenal, and they have won three out of the last five games in the Premier League. They drew at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. 10 men. They were 10 in the last 20 minutes plus injury time. They played with 10 men, and they still drew that game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. They won at Liverpool early in the season. So, Forest, they know how to play big games, especially away from home. But Arsenal will want to make a comeback because the 9 point gap is very big to overturn. And now, if they draw or lose, definitely it will be over for them. So it's going to be a very close game. But I think Arsenal going to win 2-1. That's my prediction. But it will be very, very close. It will be very difficult because Forest, they have some good players. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a fantastic player. And they're going to make it hard for Arsenal tomorrow. But I think my prediction is 2-1. Arsenal going to win 2-1 because their captain is back. It's one of the reasons why I'm predicting it. But without him, I would have predicted in favor of Forest because their attack, Arsenal attack, is dreadful. They are awful up front. But I think Martin Odegaard will be the difference tomorrow, but it will be a very close game. And we now move on to the third game. The last game on Saturday will be between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur. Their last 5 meetings in the Premier League, City, they have won 3 out of their last 5 meetings with Tottenham. Tottenham won 1 and they drew 1. And looking at City, even though they have some injury concern, Akanji is out, Johnstone, Grealish, Diaz, Rodri, Doku is doubtful, Kovacic is also doubtful. Tottenham also have Richarlison out, and they have Mickey van der Ven is out. They also have Bentancur, he's suspended because of racism. He had an interview where he said all the South Korean, their cousin, all of them look the same. The same way we can say Chinese people look the same. That's what he said, and they suspended him for 7 games. And other races can say African look the same. For me, I don't think that's a racist remark. And if you are suspending a guy for 7 games just for saying that, and you have another guy who played for Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez, when they won the Copa, they were singing a song, racist song, against the French black players. But he didn't get such ban. But a guy who says something that in a lot of culture is not racist, to say, oh, every one of you look the same, all the Koreans look the same, all the other people look the same. People usually say that, but the FA, they thought it was offensive, it was racist. So they suspended Bentancur for 7 games, and they also have Romero out. But looking at City, their last 5 games in the Premier League, even though they have won 3 of those 5 games, they lost 2. But if you watch those games, they win, especially they win against Fulham when they won 3-2 at the Etihad. If a player like Adama Traore, if he was somebody who knows how to score, City would have lost that game because he has so many chances. But he was very wasteful in that game. And they win against Wolves. In the last minute of the game, they score a controversial goal to win that game 2-1. They also struggle against bottom of the table at that time, Southampton. At the Etihad, they won 1-0. But since then, their last 2 games in the Premier League, they lost 2-1 to Bournemouth. They lost 2-1 to Brighton. In that Bournemouth game, if their strikers were clinical, they would have won 4-5 goals. But despite their poor form yet, only Liverpool have gotten more points in their last 5 games than City. City have 9 points out of 15. And looking at them, they are not in good form. They are very terrible right now. Erling Haaland is the only person that is scoring consistently. If you look at Jeremy Doku, he's very good on the ball, but finishing wise, he's very poor. You look at Silvino, the same thing, he's very poor. He's awful at finishing. He has 0 goals in the Premier League. So this is one of Manchester City problem this season. Their star players are not scoring goals. Only Haaland is scoring. And Tottenham, they have won 2 games out of the last 5 games in the Premier League. They won 4-1 against Villa, 4-1 against West Ham. But Tottenham, they lost 3-2 at Brighton. They were up first at 2-0. But second half, Brighton came from the back and won 3-2. and they lost at Palace 1-0. Their last game, they lost at home to Ipswich Town. That game was Ipswich Town's first victory of the season. So coming into this game, both teams are struggling. So, Otis, let me come to you. What's your take on this fixture? Manchester City versus Tottenham.
I look at the two teams. I watched the two teams' previous games, and I look at the form. But I still give City the edge because defensively, Spurs is not good. If you want to beat City, all the 3 games that City lost defensively, the teams work hard to beat City. That's why City in a poor form when it comes to creating up front to get the spaces in between. They are good at it. So it doesn't matter who they put on the pitch. It's just defensively, City is bad. City is very terrible defensively. So for me, I still get City the edge because first 2 defensively, Spurs is nothing. So with the creativity that City got, that game, I still get City the edge. So it will be a narrow win for City. It will be a narrow win for City. But probably for me, I predict that game, City winning that game, maybe 2-1. Because Spurs 2 is not in the kind of form that we all expect them to be. Defensively, both teams are very terrible. Very, very terrible. If you watch City games, defensively, if all the teams that they meet in the last 5 games, if there were teams that could really score goals, City are going to receive one of the highest goals in the Premier League by now. Because defensively, they give a lot of free goals away that only the goalkeeper were excellent. Besides the goalkeeper, the other rest of the people there, they were real flat-footed. But for me, I still get the edge because Spurs team is very vulnerable to anybody that can penetrate Spurs team.
Yeah.
So
Otis, okay. If you look at Tottenham this season, if you watch Tottenham games this season, Tottenham, they are the only team in the Premier League that have dominated all the games possession-wise. And looking at City, whenever a team start to put pressure on City, whenever a team start to press City higher up the pitch, City, they collapse, they crumble. And looking at Tottenham, they always dominate possession. And whenever a team dominates City, City lose. So don't you take this into consideration, Ote? Otis. All right. Mr. Connell, let me come to you because I'm not seeing Otis. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Otis went out.
Yeah. Looking at the game tomorrow, the last game tomorrow in the Premier League, Manchester City and Tottenham, looking at both team form, both teams are not in good form. But City, they have won more points in their last 5 games than Tottenham. In their last 5 meetings in the Premier League, they have the edge. They won 3, they lost only 1 against Tottenham in their last 5 fixtures. So, what's your take on the game tomorrow?
Well, I go for draw tomorrow. The reason is City.
I remember my son freeze, man. I know. My phone is hot. Hello?
I will come back to you. Just hold on.
Yeah, my phone hot. So I think if iPhone know where it get hot, they freeze.
So I go for draw tomorrow, and the reason is very simple. We know City problem. We know how they struggle in games this season, especially since the absence of Rodrigue, it's a huge. It put a huge gap in City midfield. We saw the game City versus Tottenham Spurs. That was in the Premier League game. I think it was the Colabra Cup when they lost to Tottenham Spurs. Tottenham Hotspur is a team that play a counter system. They play a lot of running football. And since this guy Rodrigo left City team, uh, all the teams that played were uh, kind of running game, were British striking foes. City struggled against all of them. We saw them against Brighton when Brighton brought in few guys that were very clinical. We saw the result. We saw the result. The same with Spurs. So that game is a draw game. Spurs too has their own weakness. Their defense not too good, and the reason why City got a lot of experienced players despite their injury crisis on the team. They still got a lot of experienced players that create sometimes they score goals. When you don't expect them to score goals, they got one of the best um, striker in the world now when it comes to goal scoring. His finishing is absolutely brilliant. Some goals I hadn't scored, we don't even expect him. In tough matches, especially when he go against smaller side, like Tottenham Sport. I don't take them to be a big side in the Premier League no longer with their performances in the past season. So it's going to be a kind of open game tomorrow. City want to make a comeback after losing 4 games in succession, and Tottenham too want to maintain. They want to maintain that 100% record against City this season. Their first game they won against City. So looking at the players that will be absent for City as well, it might cause them a problem too. You know, so it's a 50-50 chance for both teams tomorrow.
All right. So what's your scoreline prediction?
2-2.
2-2. Otis, so just give me a prediction for the game.
You muted, Otis.
Yeah,
There
okay,
you go.
you got it from me. Okay. I think my score line for the game will be City will win the game, maybe 2-1. That's my prediction for the game.
Yeah.
Because
I hope you're taking down
Yeah.
all of the
I'm
prediction.
I'm taking down a prediction. That's what I'm doing because
yeah,
Yeah.
So let me just come in. I think the game tomorrow it will be a difficult game because City they're gonna miss Rodri in that game. But for me, I'm looking at 2 things. Number one, if Tottenham they decide to play the Haaland tomorrow, because that's Swissa, that Haaland or Tottenham can play with, and their manager is very stubborn. If he plays without Haaland tomorrow, they're gonna lose 3-1. But if he sit a little bit deep, it's gonna be a draw game, like 1-1. But I'll just go for 3-1. City gonna win 3-1. Because defensively, Tottenham, they are terrible. So City will win 3-1 against Tottenham tomorrow. So now we move on to Sunday. Liverpool will be at Southampton to play Southampton on Sunday in the Premier League. Looking at Liverpool this season, they have surprised many football fans. New coach coming in the summer. People expected a slow start, but they only lost 1 out of their 11 games so far this season. And they are 5 points clear. The way they are playing this season, even though they have Alisson, their starting goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers in world football, he has been out for some time now. And their striker, Diogo Jota, is also out. And now Trent is out. And Harvey Elliott is also out. Federico Chiesa is also out. Coming into this game, Liverpool, they are 4 out of the last 5 games. The only game they didn't win out of the last 5 games was at was at the Emirates when they drew 2-2 to Arsenal. And looking at Southampton, they are one of the worst teams in the Premier League. They are terrible. They are dreadful. And they have only one win in their last 5 Premier League games. They lost 4 out of 5. 3 points out of 15. Looking at the form of Liverpool, Mr. Connor, what do you think going to happen in this game tomorrow?
Obviously, like I said from the beginning, that every time after international break, you find a lot of informed teams struggling their first game right after the international break. It's true that Southampton struggling. They're one of the worst team in the Premier League so far, but this could be a tricky match for Liverpool as well. You know, almost all of their player, let's say 80 to 75% of their player went on international duty, and coming back, the fatigue. They saw American player. We saw the kind of games they play. We know how tough their matches are when it comes to international duty. You know, and they got to travel back to Europe. So there's a lot of factor that can lead to teams dropping points right after the international breaks, especially the bigger teams. You know, so it's going to be a tricky match. But I think with the coach, the manager that Liverpool got, he knows what to do. He's going to manage that game because he's really good at game management. With the games that he been winning, I saw most of the games. I saw games that he drew it against Arsenal. He really managed that game. Liverpool could have slipped to Arsenal. They could have lost that game. So he's good at managing game, and he's managing his player very well. So I'll give them the edge. We are not going to see too many goals in that game tomorrow due to some of those factors I just talked about. I know for one fight, at the end of the day, Liverpool going to win 2-0. But again, you can't underestimate smaller side right after international break. So Liverpool is going to win that game. My prediction is 2-0, but they got to be on top of that game, take into consideration coming right after the international break.
Yeah, thank you very much. Otis, looking at both team form, Liverpool, 4 wins, all of the last 5 Premier League games, and Southampton, 1 win, all of the last 5 games. They lost 4, all of the last 5. And when you look at their last 5 meetings, Liverpool, they have won 4 out of the last 5 meetings between Southampton and Liverpool, and they drew only 1. So what's your take on this fixture tomorrow?
So you muted.
Unmute? No.
No, you okay?
Oh, okay. For me, the game you can see is one-sided. Though we know it can be a surprises. That's why we're coming from international break with a lot of players fatigues and stuff. But definitely that game is one-sided because when it comes to form, Southampton this season they are very very terrible. And so for me in that game, not to go that far because it's going to be one-sided. I know Southampton going to do everything they want to do. If it comes with surprises, that one, because we know that football, sometimes it comes with some surprises that we all can be shocked. So if it comes with that surprise until we see it, but for me, I see that game one-sided. I see that score of that game would be maybe 3-1 for Liverpool.
Is that your prediction? 3-1 to
Yeah.
Liverpool?
Yeah, 3-1 in favor of Liverpool.
Okay. I think this game will be a very easy game for Liverpool tomorrow. Looking at the 2 teams, Southampton, they are being dreadful. They have been abysmal this season, very terrible. And Liverpool, they have been brilliant. They have been sensational. And Mo Salah, this guy, every season, he continued to score and create. This guy, he is presently one of the best players ever to play in the Premier League. And the disrespect this guy is getting, people always disrespect this guy. Even if you look at the African Best Player Award this year, the short list, his name is not even there. The amount of disrespect Mo Salah gets, no player in the history of the Premier League, top player, got that kind of disrespect. Maybe the reason being because he's from Egypt. But if Salah was from one of those European countries or from South America, they will hail Salah. But because he's from Egypt and Egypt is in Africa, this is why Salah is being disrespected. And this guy is the greatest player ever in the history of Liverpool Football Club in the Premier League era. That's my opinion. There's no player in Liverpool history in Premier League era that have performed as compared to Salah. And the Premier League is one of the all-time goal scorer right now in the Premier League. And I can see him surpassing Thierry Henry in the chat. So this game will be one-way traffic. Liverpool going to win 3-0. That's my prediction. So we move on to the last game on Sunday. Will be at Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town versus Manchester United. Coming into this game will be Manchester United new coach Ruben Amorim, his first game in the Premier League. And Manchester United last 5 games in the Premier League, we have won 2, drew 2, and lost 1. And that one loss was against West Ham United that led to the sacking of Mr. Haram Football, Erik ten Hag. And what happened? Coming into this game, I am confident. I'm confident. And I listened to his press conference. And he said he's not going to change from his philosophy. He's not going to change from his style of play. And I love that, because if you get your philosophy as a coach, you have your style of play. Do not change for the players. Because if you do, they're going to capitalize on that. If anybody doesn't suit your style of play, any players, they don't cope with the demand of your style of play, you should show them the door. They should be out of the football club. Sign new player to replace them. That's how it should be. So I love that, because if you see all the coaches that came before him after Sir Alex Ferguson retired, Louis van Gaal, David Moyes, Jose Mourinho, and Ten Hag, most of them, they changed their style of play to accommodate the players. If you look at Ten Hag, this is one of the reasons that led to Ten Hag's downfall. I remember his first 2 games in the Premier League, Manchester United lost heavily, especially to Brentford, 4-0. I think the first 30 minutes, Brentford scored 4 goals. And he decided to change his way of play the 3rd game. He decided to sit deep. And that contributed to his downfall. You don't change your way. You have to impose your style of play on the players. If they don't fit in your system, you get rid of them. So this guy, I believe in him. He has that self-confidence, and I think he's going to do well. And starting on Sunday, I think Manchester United are going to win that game. My prediction for that game, maybe going to win 3-1. So Otis, looking at all the problems Manchester United been going through this season. We have lost 4 games this season in the Premier League. And Ten Hag, he was dreadful. His substitutions were awful. And I think it was belated his sacking. He should have been sacked right after that FA Cup final, because Manchester United is a big club. Winning FA Cup should not guarantee anybody their job at Manchester United. So, what do you think of this new coach? What do you think about this game on Sunday?
Oh, for me, I know Manchester United is in a little bit bad form based on the coach, like you previously said, based on the coach tactics. I think for me, long time I foresee him going, but it's just like young too. You know, when our people get it saying, they say when you're in a cold, you're in a ring, you can't feel the cold. That's how Manchester United were looking. But he was not a good coach. For that new coach, I went to his previous club. I started to watch some of the games. I started to see. I know he will not change. And to want to see his first game, there are a lot of players he will offload. A lot of players I see with his starter play that I see from his team. It's a lot of players Manchester United will lose maybe in the January market, or maybe after at the end of the season that he will offload. And some of them during the January market, some of them will just find a space on the bench and just web their seat right there and sit right there, because for that guy that I see, I don't think he's gonna take any nonsense. I see the game, though it will be his first game, but a lot of players want to impress the first coach. They want to impress him to get the spaces. So Manchester United going to come out high in that game. Probably even that game going to be more than 3, because I know Manchester United going to come out high in that game, because a lot of players going to put 100% plus other time. They're going to put in everything because they want to impress the coach on his first game. So Manchester United going to fly a victory tomorrow, but the score going to be high for me. My prediction maybe going to be something like 4-1, because I see that game complete one. That will be one of the one-sided game ever in that Premier League for this season. For the way Manchester United signing a new coach with that kind of with his tactics that I see for his previous team, and then with the players that I know a lot of players who want to impress the coach tomorrow and playing with a team from the underdog side, like way to the bottom of the table down there. I know Manchester United going to walk away with 4 goals tomorrow. So for my prediction.
Thank you very much, Otis. Let me welcome my friend, brother Fuad Sharif. We went way back. We were classmates from 6th grade to 9th grade. That's a long time ago. My brother, welcome to the Football Heritage. I think you were.
Thank you, Musa.
I think you were listening, right? So, even though you just coming, but let me just ask you, right? The game on Sunday between Ipswich and Manchester United, the game will be Manchester United new coach first game in charge. So, what's your take on the game on Sunday?
Hello? Okay.
What's your take? Yeah.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. And I want to say thank you for the good work. And hi, Yaya. How you doing, brother? Great seeing you, man. Yeah, and I also want to take this time to say hi to our followers and all those that are watching right now. So, with the game on Sunday, I don't know if it's Sunday or Saturday, right? Against Manchester.
Sunday.
Sunday. For me, I'm not too excited about the new coach. So I don't know. Maybe people will be thinking why, but I'm not too excited because
What's your concern?
Usually when club have new coach, they perform, they play, the players put their best, so and I think Sunday that's just what we're gonna see. So we will have to give him like 4 to 6 months at least to see, his performance. But I know on Sunday, Manchester going to take a win. Looking at the system, the Amorim, Ruben Amorim is about to introduce. So our hope is whether the players going to adapt to that system, or he going to drop player who will not adapt, and stuff like that. So we're going to consider all of that, and we wait and see after maybe 3 months to 6 months, like I said. So then based on that, we can determine whether the coach will perform on the club or not.
Yeah, let me tell you something. The reason why I have confidence in this guy, right? If you look at the past coaches, most of them, they didn't have the structure that he has right now. Because at the beginning of this season, right, we appointed a new CEO. So people that know about football, they are in charge of football matters. Unlike the previous coaches, when they were there, Mourinho, Van Gaal, we had accountant running the football club. Instead of him being in the business department, he was running the football club, accountant. He had no knowledge about football. So this was one of the reasons, because you need footballing people in charge to run the football club. Accountant should run the business aspect. They shouldn't run the footballing aspect of the club. And one of the things Amorim said, that Manchester United is a team that gave the ball away too many times. So it's like he has been watching Manchester United for a very long time. And I believe he's going to address it. Because if he can acknowledge one of our weaknesses, that means he has been watching the team playing. So, Mr. Colin, let me come to you. What's your take on the game Sunday between Ipswich and Manchester United?
Well, for me, like what my brother Fuan just said, the game on Sunday is going to be the player own determination to win that game. That shouldn't be a test for Ruben as new coach of Manchester United. We know every time a team change or getting a new manager, all of the players that are chosen to play that game will be there to impress. They want to give it all. They want to give 100%, to impress the coach. And that happened to be against a small side team, a newly promoted team to the Premier League. So it is not time to judge or to say he's going to do well. We saw great managers that went to Manchester United and they flung. So for now, I'm not going to judge him or give him a flower to say he's a brilliant young coach. His coaching career is right on path. We saw the game against Manchester City in the Champions League. They were fantastic, and I watched a couple of the highlight. So coming to Manchester United is a very big club. It's a whole different environment. You got bigger players on Manchester United as compared to the team you're managing. So take into consideration all those facts. We saw their previous coach, when Ronaldo was there, he had issue with Ronaldo. He thought getting rid of Ronaldo was going to solve the problem, and it just got worse for him. So he coming to the Premier League, he coming to Manchester United. It's a total different environment. He got a lot of contender in the Premier League. He got a lot of top coaches in the Premier League that he got to face them. So we're talking about a game on Sunday. That game is going to be a win-win situation for Manchester United because they are new coach, fresh match, and Manchester United, we know they struggle a lot this season. So every players that are going to be on the first team will be there to impress that coach. They'll be giving their 100%. So that game is going to be like 3-0 win. That's my prediction. It's going to be a 3-0 win in favor of Manchester United.
All right, thank you very much. And let's just go into the rest of the fixture for the weekend. And we're not ready discussing anything. We're just going to give our prediction. So Aston Villa was a Palace. Otis, what's your prediction for that game?
Aston Villa versus Palace. I see a draw in that game, or 1-1 draw, 1-1.
And what's your prediction? Bournemouth versus Brighton.
Bournemouth for the Brighton. I see Brighton walking away with that game on a 2-1 victory.
Brighton 2-1.
Yeah.
Everton versus Brentford.
Everton versus Brentford. Let me see. I watch Brentford, Everton. I see a draw. Give me a 2-2 draw.
2-2. Fulham versus Wolves.
Wolverhampton got a little from Fulham. I think Fulham over 2-1 victory.
And the last game would be Monday, Newcastle United versus West Ham.
Newcastle United versus West Ham. That's another draw game. I see a 1-1 draw.
All right, Mr. Conan, let me get a prediction for Aston Villa versus Palace.
2-1 in favor of Villa.
And Bournemouth versus Brighton.
Yeah, that's another competitive match of this week. So that's going to be a 2-2 draw.
Everton versus Brentford.
Give that to Everton. Although they're my city rival, I give that to Everton. 1-0 win.
Fulham versus Wolves.
2-1 in favor of Fulham.
And Newcastle versus West Ham.
Newcastle is obviously going to win West Ham United 3-1.
All right. So now, Fuad, will you let to give your prediction?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let me start with the first game because you were not here, even though we discussed in detail of the Leicester City and Chelsea game. Southampton and Liverpool, Man City and Tottenham and Arsenal and Forest. But let me just get your prediction for the game. What's your prediction for Leicester and Chelsea?
Leicester and Chelsea. I mean, this weekend is gonna be, a very tough game. I think for me, that's the toughest game in the Premier League. No, okay, Arsenal on will be. So
what's your prediction, Leicester Chelsea?
That game, I think Chelsea going to carry the day like 2-1. Chelsea.
2-1
Chelsea, yeah.
What about Arsenal and Forest?
Yeah. Arsenal and Forest, they are sharing on the table, they are sharing the same place. So it's going to be a tough game, man. It's going to be a tough game. So, but at the end of the day, I give it to Arsenal 2-0 or 2-1.
Which one are you sticking with? 2-0 or
2-0, yeah, 2-0 in favor of Arsenal.
Aston Villa was the Palace.
Aston Villa on the Villa par. Of recent, they've been doing well, so I gave them 3-2.
3-2 to Villa. Bournemouth and Brighton.
Bournemouth and Brighton. Okay. I think Brighton going to win the day, man. 2-0.
2-0 to Brighton.
Yes.
Everton and Brentford.
Everton. I gave it to Everton. 4-2.
4-2 to Everton. Fulham was the Wolves.
Wolves haven't been too impressive since the start of the season. So obviously Fulham will carry the day. 2-1.
2-1. Fulham. Man City versus Tottenham.
Man City and Spurs. I gave it to Man City 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
And Southampton and Liverpool.
Southampton. Okay, so let me see. Liverpool with their impressive form so far. I mean, I gave them the day. It's gonna be 3-1.
3-1 to Liverpool. Ipswich
Yeah.
versus Manchester United.
Manchester gonna win 3-1 as well.
3-1. Newcastle and West Ham.
Newcastle and West Ham. So it's gonna be a 2-2 draw.
2-2. So let me just give my prediction
Yeah.
for the games. Aston Villa versus Palace. I think Aston Villa going to win Palace 3-1. Bournemouth versus Brighton. Brighton going to win 2-1. Everton versus Brentford. Brentford going to win 2-1. Fulham versus Wolves. Fulham going to win 3-1. And Newcastle United versus West Ham United. West Ham has been dreadful. Newcastle going to win 3-0. So, Mr. Connor, didn't give you a prediction for Ipswich and Man United?
No, I did.
He
I
did.
said, I said, I said 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay,
that's the
3-1.
same prediction I'm carrying. 3-1.
Okay, so now we move to La Liga. We're only going to discuss two fixtures because they are the two main teams in La Liga. And Saturday, Barcelona, they will be away to Celta Vigo. And this is going to be a crucial game for Barcelona tomorrow because they will be with all Lamine Yamal. And Lamine Yamal, he has been the best player this season for Barcelona, arguably informed the best player in La Liga this season. And coming into this game, they have won 4 out of the last 5 games in La Liga. They lost only 1 out of the last 5 games, and they have 12 points out of 15 in their last 5 games. Celta Vigo, coming into this game, they won only 2 out of the last 5 games. They lost 2 and they drew 1, so they have 7 points out of 15. And looking at this game, they formed Barcelona. They formed in this season. They are playing scintillating football. Their attack has been impressive. Rafinha is scoring for fun. Robert Lewandowski, he never gets tired scoring. And Lamine Yamal. So their front three have been impressive. And coming into this game, we only 1 loss in their last 5 games. And Barcelona, they lost their last game in the La Liga. And now away to Celta Vigo. Otis. Okay, let me come to you for. So, who do you think going to win this game tomorrow? What?
He's muted.
Yeah, okay. Really, in La Liga, I mean, the game there is just like one way. So even Barcelona can have 2 or 3 of their starting player, their key player on bench. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're not going to outperform the other team once it's not Real Madrid. So most of the time you notice when Barcelona having injury, sometimes the injury crisis, you see them still winning because of their system, or their style of play. So I mean, I'm going to give it up for them tomorrow.
So you think Barcelona going to win
They're
tomorrow?
going to
So
win. They're going to win.
what do you make of the absence of Lamine Yamal? Because he has been the best player this season.
Yeah, he's been very, very good. He's been sensational. In fact, Other people are even comparing him with Ronaldinho. I mean, he got a whole squad outside. I don't know which one of the game I was watching for him. I mean, whenever he touched the ball, he pays on the ball. I mean, the crowd is just supporting him and they cheering him. But like I said, sometimes when Barcelona is in injury crisis, you don't even know because of the team system of play. So because of that, I mean, we might not even feel his absence tomorrow. That's what I think.
So, what's your prediction for the game?
3-0 in favor of Barcelona.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Corner. Let me come to you. As I said earlier, Barcelona, they have been in good form this season. They're playing some fantastic football. They're playing scintillating football, and especially their attack. Their attack has been very good this season, and they have scored so many goals. But one of the trio is out tomorrow, Lamine Yamal, who is arguably the best player in La Liga so far this season. So, what's your take on the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I will continue to emphasize on after international break, first match for a bigger side. We know it's always a tricky match against Celta Vigo, Barcelona against Celta Vigo. But their last 4 games, I think Barcelona managed to win 3 out of 4, and Celta Vigo won one of them. So Lamine Yamal being the most creative and sensational player for Barcelona this season, and he's out. And Barcelona got a lot of young players this season. Besides the individual brilliance, they really playing as a team. They're playing as a team. But again, lot take into consideration. We have seen it over and over after international break. Most of the bigger teams in Europe struggle. They struggle their first game right after the break. That could be a factor for Barcelona tomorrow. So the manager, the guy, he's a brilliant one. I don't know their injury listing after the international break. We got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, Barcelona?
Yes, because I
Yeah,
know they got a lot of
the
players on the Spanish national team.
major injury they have right now is Lamine Yamal. Even though Frankie de Jong is doubtful, but he's not really been playing. So testing
looking at the looking at the performance of Barcelona so far this season, that game is going to be a tough one, but I think they're going to come up victorious 2-1 tomorrow against Celta Vigo.
2-1. Otis, are you there? All right, let me just give my view on the game for tomorrow. The way Barcelona, the way they have been playing, and especially the attack, they have been very good. And I can only see of Barcelona victory tomorrow, unless there is an upset, because it can happen in football, especially when you look at the last game. Nobody thought Barcelona was going to lose, and they lost 1-0. The attack, they have been scoring a lot of goals, but they failed to score a single goal in that game. So I think Barcelona are going to win comfortably, the 3-1, because Celta Vigo, they're not too good. They are like 11th in the La Liga table with only 17 points. And with the form of Barcelona, I think Barcelona is going to be too strong for them tomorrow. Otis, are you there? Okay, so we now go to Real Madrid, who are second in the La Liga table. Okay, Otis, you are back. Let me just ask you, right? We're now discussing Real Madrid and Barcelona, and looking at tomorrow's game. Barcelona is playing tomorrow, and they are being in good form this season. Nobody expected this new coach to start the season in such form. They are winning game, they are scoring a lot of goals. And tomorrow they will be up against Celta Vigo in Celta Vigo. And Celta Vigo, they only won 2 of their last 5 games. Barcelona, they won 4, lost 1, but they lost their last game. So what do you make of the game tomorrow? You are muted.
For me, everybody watching Barcelona is kind of strange because it's the same caliber of players that are there. But for the way we've seen Barcelona now, it's kind of strange because we never expected that kind of flying, like the way they're flying. And they are not just flying, but they're scoring goals. The kind of goals that they are scoring with that game tomorrow. I know it's going to be a win for Barcelona. Barcelona going to come out tomorrow, probably maybe around 3 goals tomorrow. Because I'm surprised, like the kind of football Barcelona I'm playing right now. I'm too surprised. It's shocking me. I expect them this season to be struggling with the new coach to see how best they can get the form, but they are playing like they band together. I think it will just need a certain little juice to add in a wine to make it more juicy. So for this season, I'm not seeing Madrid coming that close to them. What I see up there, especially like Rafinha. Rafinha surprised me this season. The football I see Rafinha playing, it like sometimes some players in the old age, that's when they're getting older, the maturity comes with the kind of way they play and the kind of football I see now. Little kid, what they call, what's the name?
Lamine Yamal.
Yamal. For me, tomorrow Barcelona will come up victory. I see something like around because they're scoring goals. You can't stop them. Lewandowski is not slowing down. Rafinha not slowing down. The poor got an attack now that is scoring more goals. So for me tomorrow, maybe that game may come up. They will come up victory tomorrow. Maybe the score will be around 3-1. That's what I see it.
Is that your final prediction? 3-1?
Yeah, 3-1. That's my final prediction. 3-1.
Thank you very much, Otesai. So we now go to the Real Madrid game. Sunday, Real Madrid will be away to Leganes. And Madrid, they have won 3 of their last 5 games against Leganes in the La Liga. They drew 2. And Real Madrid, the last 5 games in La Liga, they have also won 3. They drew against Atletico Madrid and they lost heavily to Barcelona 4-0. But they have 27 points from 12 games. And Barcelona is first with 33 points, 6 points different. But Madrid play 1 game less than Barcelona. So if they win their Austin game, they will only be 3 points behind Barcelona, despite Madrid poor form, despite Madrid being very average this season. But yet, they could be only 3 points behind flying Barcelona. Madrid have a lot of injuries. Militao, Rodrigo, Alaba, Tchouaméni, Lucas Vazquez, Courtois, Alaba, and I named Alaba twice. Okay, I'm sorry. Carvajal. And this is a concern because they have so many injuries. And in my opinion, they need to address it in a transfer window in January. But for this game, Mr. Connie, looking at Madrid form, even though their form is not too good, but yet they have won 3 of their last 5 games, drew against Atletico Madrid, which is not a bad result, but they had that terrible result against Barcelona where they were abysmal, they were dreadful. So what's your take on tomorrow's game?
Well, I'll go a little bit deeper with Real Madrid being my favorite team around the world. So we saw, the expectation of people around the world was had after they brought in Kylian Mbappe. But one thing people need to take into consideration, the departure of Toni Kroos from the team, it brought a gap All right. Tony Kroos absence is a huge gap on Madrid team. Mbappe coming in, we agree. He's a sensational and fabulous player. He addition to Real Madrid, people thought Madrid was going to be win-win all the time. But it's not the case. All right? It's not the case because we see the strike force of Madrid struggling to adapt to each other, struggling to put the ball, you know, in the net. It's been a tough situation for them. It's been a tough situation for them with the kind of injury player they got this season. We see that whole defense is a makeshift defense right now. A very makeshift defense Madrid is playing with. But with if you ask me, Madrid performance this season, it haven't reached the expectation, but equally so, it's not a bad. Let's go. It's not a bad performance from them because behind Barcelona was just 6 points. Let's go. Oh God, this guy! Come on, you guys don't distract them. Sorry. 6 points with a game in hand. It's not a bad one. So Leganes is a tricky match. They drew game with Madrid before. They won Madrid before. And we just from international break, we saw Vinicius Junior playing 2 matches for Brazil, full 90 minutes. The fatigue from Brazil going back to Spain is another challenge. I talked about it previously after international break. But I give it to Madrid tomorrow on Sunday. I give 3-1 in favor of Madrid on Sunday.
Otis, Foa, let me come to you. Looking at the game tomorrow, what's your take on Real Madrid and Leganes game tomorrow?
Yeah, man. I mean, Yaya said everything correct. I mean, the team is kind of struggling, but team the Real Madrid, when they are struggling with injury, you don't even know. Sometimes the fans, based on what they demand, I mean, you don't even care whether the team got injury or not. And the guys that are on injury, I mean, they are key players. I mean, having those kind of players on your team and then they are injured, you got to struggle. You're going to struggle. But because it's team the Real Madrid, so you don't notice it. Sometimes you see Real Madrid losing game, you like, why are they losing? But not knowing the guy injury, take into consideration your major center back. Militao is out. Cavaja is out. I mean, your whole defense, there's a problem there. Though you might have a replacement, but these replacements, they are not possible replacement. So, I mean, just to keep the team going till they get back. But even with that, I mean, we still I mean, like, expect more from them. Okay, we still expect positive result from them because that's why they are Real Madrid. Almost all the players on the team, we expect them to be like players that can play in dual capacity. So no matter what, we will get players to fill those gaps. And on Sunday, I mean, we expect nothing but a win for Real Madrid. And I can predict 4-2. Oh, yeah, 4-2. I can predict a 4-2 win in favor of Real Madrid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharif. Otis, are you there? Otis Sai. Okay, he's not responding. So that's it for the preview. So before we go I just want us to, like, back home in Liberia, I think many of us we supported Team in Liberia one way or the other, and we can just share our little experience, that which team you used to sympathize with or support when you were back home. I would just come in first. For me, living in Ghanansville, and at that time, APRC Oilers, they used to train in Ghanansville, in the APRC fans in Ghanansville. So most of us, especially during those days when school closed in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those were the days they used to train. So in the morning, 10 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we will go at a training ground to watch them practice. So this is how I started supporting them, especially at that time. They had uh, players like Fala Johnson, Fofi Kamara, Janje Jacob, and later on they have players like Nestor Sandy, one Vani Bwaka or something like that. I think Vani Bwaka, he used to be a striker. And later on they had Ase Popo, and they had one Ghanaian midfielder, I just forget his name. And they also had James Coco Lumel. So at that time back home, during those days, growing up, I used to support APRC Oilers, and I think if I start to support another team in the Liberian League, it will still be Oilers. I don't see any other team. For me, I don't change my team. When I am a fan of this football club, that's it. So I just have that soft spot for Oilers from day one since I was a kid growing up in Ghanansville. I've been supporting Oilers, so I think I may have to buy one Oilers jersey. Yeah. So Zambrota, what's your experience when it comes to football back home? Which team you love? You muted.
So I used to have a players too on others, which was James Coco Lomer. I mean, Coco. I mean, he's a kind of player that when he playing, even if you don't like the team, you're going to support him. So I saw him playing few times, couple of times. So I mean, developed that admiration for him. But my team in the league is the Invisible 11 IE. Yeah. So over the years, that's the only team I supported in the first division.
So why you started supporting Invisible 11? What led to your decision?
Okay, so where I used to live, we used to have a lot of people there who used to tell us about the game. At the time, we were not even watching the game when we used to have people like our former president George Weah, playing the game when he went to IE, the the goals he scored for IE, what he did for Invisible 11, and everything. When you people started telling you, so you started getting interest in the local league. So it was when we started to follow the league. But by then, George, we already left the scene, So we just developed that admiration and started supporting the Invisible 11. Up to now, that's the only team I got in the league.
All right, thank you very much. I forget some of my players, people like Bob Pra. I don't know whether you know Bob Pra from West Point, the
I've
goalkeeper
heard that
Bob
name.
Pra, man, and people like Celine Swain from the Chikizu Factory Bell. You know, all those guys, they are the one that made me to really fall in love with APRC Oilers. And Mr. Colin, let me come to you. What's your experience growing up in Liberia? Which team do you have that soft spot for?
Well, my team had always been the Red, Mate Barrow.
Barrow.
And the person who made me to fall in love with Mate Barrow is James Diba. He was my favorite player, even though Joshua was there stealing the show, but Diba had always been my favorite Liberian player. So I created that love, that passion for Mate Barrow after the 1990 to around 94, 96. Um, we heard about them prior to the war, but I was not privileged, opportunity to watch these guys playing until after the war when I was kind of growing up as a teenager at the time. You know, I had the opportunity because I always used to be in Central Monrovia, and ATS, the Anthony Thomas Stadium, was the most talked about stadium at the time. So I watched a couple of games, and we started seeing the Lone Star of Liberia playing after the war, and those guys was already professional footballer, you know. So I created that passion for Mate Barrow up to present. I don't see them playing anymore. I don't hear about them like that, but that feeling sit there. It's like when you like or develop love for something, it doesn't go away, especially football clubs and football player, favorite football players and all this stuff. You know, it's so exciting to see our league, you know, not improving, kept going down. And we talked about it the last week. What is killing our Liberian footballing? And we all know all around the world, if you want football to improve in your country, you got to invest in it. So the lack of investment, um, there's no football program in our country. We don't see it as compared to other countries around us. So let's just take into consideration the sub-region, just right around us, Africa, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. You know, yeah, I might not grade Sierra Leone that much, but look at Africa, look at Guinea of recent. Take a look at Guinea. I watched that game. Their qualifier against DR Congo last. They're going weekend. They were very fantastic. You know, they play a very good football, and they got a lot of good players. When was the last time we see a Liberian professional playing in the Barclay Premier League or in La Liga? When was the last time? All those seeing is because of the lack of program, the lack of investment in football. It starts from grassroots level. All right. Those countries that we see flying with bright color up there today, their program started back some years. You know, they invested into it. We saw private citizens investing into academy in some of those countries. Liberia, it had not been the case of Liberia. So it's so saddening. Not that we don't love the clubs that we used to love anymore. We still got passion for them. But, you know, we just not going nowhere. You know, we going anywhere. That's the problem. So to answer your question, my take on Liberian football until we can find means to invest into our footballing, bring some good youth program into the country. The government too should be willing to invest. If you look at our national budgets, how many they put into youth and sport? We know they send money there, but how much? Football
I don't know.
now
Somebody
it has
said
become so expensive. It's
somebody
not
said
cheap
Lone Star, I know 50,000. But I
you
stand
know.
to be corrected. I don't know whether that figure is right.
Yeah, I haven't been following it, but it's good. We decode some of those things. It's good.
What? Yeah, what they got there is little or nothing. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, it's a drop in the
And you look
bucket.
at and you look at the Speaker of the House. If you look at the Speaker of the House budget, and you're talking about whole entity, things, place that's supposed to bring happiness to the nation, that's supposed to develop youth, that you sending package change there. That being wicked, you know, that's being wicked to the people that you say you love. So those are some of our problems. Until those things can be addressed, you know, I don't want to go too deep into it. We should do a research on it and know the actual. I know it's nothing much, but we should let us get some of those facts when we come here tomorrow when talking about it, trying to inform the Liberian people about some of those things. Let's get facts into our hand. You know, let's encourage our people. Let's open our people mind. Let's open our people mind. Let people know what is going. The kind of wickedness they're playing, how they're killing our Liberian football. So it's so sad. It's so sad. We hope and pray that it change one day, but before then, it's really, really sad.
Otis, thank you very much. Otis.
I beg to leave you guys. The
Yeah,
little man kind of troubling me here right now.
Thank you very much for
Well,
coming
we
on.
need to connect, my man. You need to call me. Let's talk. So it was a pleasure sharing the platform with all of you guys. You guys are wonderful people. Let's continue doing this.
You're welcome. You're welcome, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Otis. This guy is not here. So for I want to thank you for coming on. We have been here almost 2 hours now. So this is how I want for us to end this program. I appreciate you for coming on. We will be back on Sunday, 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 4:30 p.m. your time, and 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back on Sunday with post-match reaction of the weekend fixture. Then we'll be back next week, Friday, with a preview of the weekend fixture. So that's it. This is how we come to the end of this broadcast. Thank you very much. Peace. I'm out of here.